Have you ever felt like you're just carrying this invisible, heavy weight around? You're getting things done, you're showing up, you're even succeeding. But quietly, underneath it all, you're really struggling. Well, today we're going to dive into exactly that. We're talking about the kind of suffering that so many high-functioning people have accidentally perfected, the art of hiding their own pain.
This quote just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's not always the big, dramatic breakdowns that cause the most damage. So often, it's that slow, quiet chipping away at yourself that happens behind the smile, behind the automatic words, "I'm fine." If you've ever felt that disconnect, then this is for you.
So what does this hidden distress actually look like in real life? It's tricky because it's not always obvious. In fact, a lot of its power comes from how normal it can all seem on the surface. Let's look at a few signs that might feel, well, a little too familiar.
Okay, here's the first one. Picture this. It's the end of a super long day, you are completely exhausted, and your mind is just begging for a break. But what do? You find yourself endlessly scrolling, right? Just looking for a distraction from a feeling you can't even put your finger on. It's really just a numbing mechanism, a way to keep going without ever actually stopping to rest.
Oof, this one is powerful. You're out with people, you're playing the part, you're laughing at a joke, but inside, there's just a hollowness. A total disconnect from the joy you're performing. It's all about keeping up that appearance of being okay, even when you are anything but.
And then there's this one, which is maybe the most common of all. Someone asks how you are, and that automatic response just flies out. "I'm fine, thanks," while this huge storm of emotion is raging just under the surface. You just keep pushing it down, because honestly, slowing down to actually feel it seems way scarier than just muscling through one more day.
So, if you're nodding along to any of this, please know you are not alone. This is the very texture of high-functioning distress. It gets dismissed so easily because, hey, on the outside, you're still getting things done. But on the inside, this constant suppression is just so corrosive. And it's not a weakness, it's an absolutely exhausting state of survival.
Now, let's get to something that is absolutely crucial to understand. You don't suffer because you're weak or broken. You suffer because you have likely become disconnected from your body's own amazing protective warning system. And for many of us, that's been the case for our entire lives.
This is such a powerful idea. Your body isn't a machine, it's a living system. And it gives you these early warnings, the whispers. Maybe it's a dull headache that just won't go away, or a tightness in your chest. Maybe it's that deep, soul-crushing fatigue that sleep doesn't even touch. Or maybe it's just losing interest in things you used to love. These aren't random, they're signals. It's your body tapping you on the shoulder saying, "Hey, something's not right here."
This slide shows a really critical shift in perspective. We're all taught to push through, right? We tell ourselves we're being strong, we're persevering, and sometimes we are. But when you consistently ignore your body's whispers, what you call perseverance actually becomes a form of self-abandonment. You are literally sacrificing your own well-being in the name of just moving forward.
So what happens when you just keep ignoring all those signals? Well, your brain, in a desperate attempt to protect you from total burnout, makes a kind of executive decision. It flips into survival mode. We know from neuroscience that under chronic stress, the brain starts to conserve energy by shutting down functions that aren't essential for immediate life or death survival.
And this leads to something with a really intense name: psychic amputation. This is that feeling of numbness. It's that quiet loss of joy, of curiosity, of creativity. Your brain isn't broken, it's just trying to save the whole system by cutting power to what it sees as non-essential parts of your personality. The problem isn't you, it's how long you've been forced to just survive.
Okay, so if this is all so painful, why on earth do we stay stuck in these cycles? I mean, it doesn't make logical sense, right? Well, understanding this part is the key to breaking free. It's because we fall into these very common, very human psychological traps. Just take a look at this list of 6 common traps. Do any of these jump out at you? There's avoidance, staying super busy so you don't have to feel anything difficult. There's rumination, just replaying the worst-case scenarios over and over. And then there's that identity role of being the strong one, which makes it feel basically impossible to ask for help. These aren't just bad habits, they are deeply learned survival patterns. Let's dig into that last one for a second, survival conditioning, because it's so wild and counterintuitive. If you grew up in a chaotic home, your nervous system literally learned that stress is normal. Stress is familiar. As a result, actual peace and quiet can feel really unsettling, maybe even dangerous. It's like you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop because you don't know who you are without a crisis to manage.
So here's the most important takeaway from all of this. Whichever of those traps you relate to, please hear this, it is a survival response. It's a strategy that you developed at some point in your life to protect yourself. It is not a character flaw. It is not a personal failure. And just recognizing that, that's the first real step toward changing it.
All right, so we get the problem. Now what? How do we actually stop this cycle? Well, the answer isn't nearly as dramatic as you might think. It's not about a revolution, it's about reconnection.
We often think that healing has to be this huge, massive change, like you have to quit your job or move across the country. But you can't run away from yourself. Real, lasting change actually comes from small, consistent shifts that slowly rebuild the connection with your body, with your needs, and with all those internal signals you've learned to tune out.
As you can see here, these are small, totally doable steps. You start with step 1, a simple daily check-in. Then step 2, honoring those signals with just a 5-minute break. Step 3 is all about getting back into your body with something simple like a quick stretch. Step 4 is huge, setting boundaries that protect your energy, not your image. Step 5 helps you build momentum by tackling just one tiny source of stress. And finally, step 6 reminds us that we heal in connection with others. Isolation just makes the suffering worse.
Look, if you've been quietly suffering for a long time, you've probably had more than enough judgment, especially from yourself. The antidote is not more pressure, it's gentleness. The moment you recognize what's been happening and you decide to respond to yourself with kindness instead of criticism, that's the moment everything starts to shift.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. What is the whisper you've been ignoring? Is it your exhaustion, your creativity, your need for simple rest? Just acknowledging that whisper, that is the very first step on the path back to yourself.